How are you today? It is Monday, October 4th, and it's time for another Mantra Monday. We are doing King Puranjana, the City of Nine Gates, and we're already up to verse 28 in Canto 4 of the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, compiled by the great Srila Vyasadeva. But before we get into that, I just want to put an invitation in here for you in the chat box because it is coming up on the 13th anniversary of Yoga on the Dance Floor. And so because of that, I have been digging, and I have discovered literally footage unseen because it was hidden away on a hard drive for the past 13 years. So that's part of the festivities, and there's going to be 2 virtual concerts. There's going to be one on Thursday, October 21st at 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern time, as per your request. There will be another one on Saturday, October 23rd, also 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. respectively, Pacific and Eastern Standard Times. But the 20th of October is the actual day that we released Yoga on the Dance Floor, originally known as Yoga on the Dance Floor in Sanskrit Mantras. And we went to Amsterdam and the Amsterdam dance event and have done all kinds of things since then. So there is your invitation for the screening. There's a premiere if you've already subscribed to my YouTube channel. If you're watching this on YouTube, then you know what the deal is. So go ahead and check out my Facebook page if you haven't already and see all the different events that are coming up. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to make sure that everyone in the member group has got access to this live stream that is going on right now. So let me share, and then we can get into the verse. How is the weather, guys? The weather here this weekend was off the chain hot. So hot. Let me see. See if it will let me do this. So last week I said it was cool and that I didn't think we were going to have an Indian summer. And was I wrong? So let me see. Is there a way for me to share this event? All right, I'm going to try this. Hopefully this will work. Let's see. Let's see if this works. I'm live now, and hopefully this is going to show up in the private member group. Facebook is always changing things around. And let me see if I can just do it from there we go, from the YouTube channel. We are. Yes, here I am on YouTube. From the YouTube channel. All right. Come on. Sorry for the delay. Sorry for the delay. Try this again. Try this again. Try this again. All right. All right, members. There you go. All right. All right, members. There you go. All right. So as you know, you can follow along. All right. All right, members. You can follow along on the page. Good morning, whoever's watching. Welcome. Namaste. So all the Sanskrit is there. So last week, we actually ended up on verse 27. So King Puranjana, which represents the living entity, addressed his intelligence, who in this allegory is the queen, or at least is going to be the future queen. So he said to her, "My dear lotus-eyed, who are those 11 strong bodyguards with you, and who are those 10 specific servants? Who are those women following the 10 servants, and who is the snake that is preceding you?" So briefly to recap, the snake that is preceding the queen represents the life heirs in the body. There are 5 life heirs in the body. So without breath, without that, we cannot live, right? We say expired when someone dies. He took his last breath. The 11 strong bodyguards and the 10 specific servants. So this is the mind and the 10 senses, right? The senses are grouped around the mind. And then the hundreds of women actually represent different material desires that we have. Because, of course, we have senses, and senses want to hear, see, smell, taste, touch, all of those different things. So those are considered to be sensory activities, which is part of life in a body. Okay, so let's move on. So, text 28. Tvam hrīr bhavānī atha patim, vicinvatī munivad raho vane, tvad-ańghri-kāmāpta-samasta-kāmam, padma-kośah patitah karāgrāt. So now I'm going to try and sing this. This is beneficial. I'm singing in Sanskrit. Tvam hrīr bhavānī atha patim, vicinvatī munivad raho vane, tvad-ańghri-kāmāpta-samasta-kāmam, padma-kośah patitah karāgrāt. Tvam hrīr bhavānī atha patim, vicinvatī munivad raho vane, tvad-ańghri-kāmāpta-samasta-kāmam, padma-kośah patitah karāgrāt. Tvam, you, hrīh, shyness, bhavānī, the wife of Lord Śiva, atha, rather, Sarasvatī, the goddess of learning, ramā, the goddess of fortune, patim, husband, vicinvatī, searching after, thinking of, kim, are you? Muni-vat, like a sage, rahah, in this lonely place, vane, in the forest, tvad-ańghri, your feet, kāma, desiring, atha, achieved, samasta, all, kāmam, desirable things, where is, padma-kośah, the lotus flower, patitah, fallen, kara, of the hand, karāgrāt, from the front portion or palm. Translation. My dear beautiful girl, you are exactly like the goddess of fortune, or the wife of Lord Śiva, or the goddess of learning, the wife of Lord Brahmā. Although you must be one of them, I see that you are loitering in this forest. Indeed, you are as silent as the great sages. It is that you are searching after your own husband, whoever your husband may be. Simply by understanding that you are so faithful to him, he will come to possess all opulences. I think you must be the goddess of fortune. but I do not see the lotus flower in your hand. Therefore, I am asking you where you have thrown that lotus. Okay, so flattery. Flattery will get you everywhere. When a man sees a beautiful woman and he's interested in her, he starts the sweet talk. So here is King Puranjana. The allegory, of course, Narada Muni is actually speaking to Maharaj Prachinabarhishat. So he's, he's cleverly and artfully showing King Prachinabarhishat his own behavior, along with everything else that he's trying to teach him in this allegory. The goddess of fortune, or the wife of Lord Śiva, that is Parvati, also known as Uma, right? She has many different names. Durga, and the wife of Lord Brahmā, of course, is Sarasvatī, who is a goddess of learning. You will see Sarasvatī holding a musical instrument, right? The sages, when they are renounced or when they're practicing meditation, traditionally would go to the forest, vane, and also gather there to chant mantras for the benefit of humanity. However, he's noticing that she can't be that because she's missing the divine paraphernalia. So the goddess of fortune is always holding a lotus flower. But, he's keeping up with the charm and the flattery, and he's saying, but I'm asking you, where have you thrown that lotus? So now the purport. Remember, she represents the intelligence of the living entity, our intelligence. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that among women, he is intelligence. Everyone thinks that his intelligence is perfect. Sometimes one employs his intelligence in the worship of Uma, the wife of Lord Śiva, in order to obtain a beautiful wife. Sometimes when one wants to become as learned as Lord Brahmā, he employs his intelligence in the worship of the goddess of learning, Sarasvatī. Sometimes when one wishes to become as opulent as Lord Vishnu, he worships the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi. In this verse, all these inquiries are made by King Puranjana, the living entity who is bewildered and does not know how to employ his intelligence. Intelligence should be employed in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As soon as one uses his intelligence in this way, the goddess of fortune automatically becomes favorable to him. The goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, never remains without her husband, Lord Vishnu. Consequently, when one worships Lord Vishnu, he automatically obtains the favor of the goddess of fortune. One should not, like Ravana, worship the goddess of fortune alone, for she cannot remain long without her husband. Thus her other name is Chanchala, or restless. In this verse, it is clear that Puranjana is representing our intelligence while he is talking with a girl. He not only appreciated the shyness of the girl, but actually became more and more attracted by that shyness. He was actually thinking of becoming her husband, and consequently was asking whether she was thinking of her prospective husband or whether she was married. This is an example of bhoga icha, the desire for enjoyment. One who is attracted by such desires becomes conditioned in this material world, and one who is not so attracted attains liberation. King Puranjana was appreciating the beauty of the girl as if she were the goddess of fortune. But at the same time, he was careful to understand that the goddess of fortune cannot be enjoyed by anyone except Lord Vishnu. Since he doubted whether the girl was the goddess of fortune, he inquired about the lotus flower she was not holding. The material world is also the goddess of fortune, because the material energy works under the direction of Lord Vishnu, as stated in Bhagavad Gita. Ma ya yakshena prakriti suyate sa charam. The material world cannot be enjoyed by any living entity. If one so desires to enjoy it, he immediately becomes a demon like Ravana, Hiranyakashipu, or Kamsa. Because Ravana wanted to enjoy the goddess of fortune, Sita Devi, he was vanquished with all his family, wealth, and opulence. One can, however, enjoy that Maya bestowed upon the living entity by Lord Vishnu. The satisfaction of one's senses and desires means enjoying Maya, not the goddess of fortune. So there's a lot to unpack here, and you probably have a lot of questions, and there's a lot of terms and concepts here, which may seem confusing. Maybe not, but maybe. If you have a question, I think you can always type it in the live chat on YouTube, and I will see it. Okay, so let's unpack this. So everyone thinks they're the smartest, right? Everyone's like, "Oh, I know," right? We all fall into that trap, you know. No one can tell us nothing. But we have to admit that here we have limited intelligence, we have limited senses, or we know about the thing that we know about, right? That we may be expert in, something that we're doing on our job or a hobby and so on and so forth. But we're not intelligent enough to know everything else that there is to know, or what someone else can do that we cannot do, or another living entity can do that we cannot do. So there are limits to our intelligence here in the material world. We are not omniscient, right? Okay, then it says, sometimes one employs his intelligence in the worship of Uma to obtain a beautiful wife. Actually, this is a system, right? If you want something nice, you try and get that by any means necessary, right? So at least in India, there is this understanding that for everything that you want, there is a personality behind that, right? The universe is not an impersonal universe. It is a very, very personal universe. And when we went through the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita as it is, Krishna went to great lengths to explain who his representatives are, or at least a fraction, because he could go on forever, literally. But there was an attempt made to explain who the different demigods or presiding deities, if you were, of water, of the ocean, of the sky, of the sun, of all these different functions, because different living entities have desires to lord it over material nature, who want to be powerful. And so Krishna is very kind, and he gives the living entity that ability to do that, particularly if they are pious living entities, to have this responsibility to do something. We all have a desire to control. That is what being in the material world is all about. When we finally get to the end and relinquish that desire to control and to become a fully surrendered soul unto God and make our life perfect, then we don't actually feel the need to own anything or possess anything, because all our needs are taken care of, eternally. We actually understand that. We can become completely secure in our relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Lakshmi Devi, because God and his internal energy, they are our mother and our father. So we actually don't have to worry about anything. But when we come here to this material world, it's like a whole set of problems and illusions and competition, false competition, and divvying up God's property and trying to control this, because we're not peaceful. We're not peaceful here, and we are afraid. We are worried, and we are caught up in the hard struggle for existence. But at any rate, here it's described that if you want a beautiful wife, or if you want a good husband, you would actually worship Kali on certain days, right? If you want to be very intelligent, then you would approach goddess Sarasvatī. Or if you want money, right? Maybe you would approach Lord Vishnu. Actually, in India, people will approach Lord Śiva. You'll find that a lot of people worship Lord Śiva in India, because you can obtain wealth that way. But Prabhupada is pointing out here that this is actually short-sighted, that an intelligent person will actually employ their intelligence in serving, right, in understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead and understanding what their relationship to him is. And not only will you become satisfied by doing that, automatically the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Devi, who never leaves the Lord's side, because remember, the Lord possesses all wealth, right? He possesses all wealth, all opulence. He wants for nothing. So this is a relationship and a bond that cannot be broken. So this is why the devotees, they never worry about anything. They never worry about their needs being taken care of, because their needs are automatically taken care of. Of course, the devotee in general is not experiencing fever, material disease that the conditioned soul is experiencing, right? I want this, I want that. Greed. You see people will accumulate a lot of possessions, or very wealthy people, all kinds of things. And at the end of the day, this is something, they're trying to enjoy, we're trying to enjoy, but also this makes them feel safe. They feel like if they have enough things, they can somehow keep the material energy at bay. But this is foolishness, because ultimately the material energy is one of God's energies. He says, Daivi Shakti Gunamayi. This energy is mine, and it is divine, and it is very difficult to overcome. Unless you surrender to me, unless you take shelter of that internal energy, you're not going to be able to overcome it, because it is as powerful as I am. So in other words, we want to get on God's good side. Now, how do we do that? We do that by taking shelter of his internal energy, and also by treating all his creations with respect, with love and respect, because we understand that his creation is an extension of him. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that, when you commit violence, you are actually hitting him. You are actually hurting him. So this is a wonderful way, to understand how to behave better. Let me see. So consequently, when one worships Lord Vishnu, he automatically obtains the favor of the goddess of fortune. One should not like Ravan. Like Ravan means he who makes others cry, right? You should not be hoarding and taking more than your share, because this causes distress to others. People lose their homes, they lose their livelihoods. Okay, so yeah, Ravan, he was cray-cray. He was absolutely cray-cray with the desire to enjoy. So much so that he created havoc in the material world. He just created havoc. He was always intoxicated. He had a lot of women, actually. But that wasn't enough for him. He had to go ahead and kidnap Sita Devi. He actually went to the length of kidnapping a very prominent king's wife. Well, that created a lot of problems for Ravana. And in the end, he was vanquished and his city was conquered. And remember, I mentioned last week that Hanumanji actually set fire to the city of Lanka. So we commemorate that in Diwali that is coming up. So of course, someone like Ravana or Hiranyakashipu, these are big asuras. They're like bigger than life asuras, right? They actually performed a lot of austerities to become so big and bad. But ultimately, they were vanquished by the material energy. This is our situation here in the material world. It doesn't matter how beautiful we are. It doesn't matter how much money we have. It doesn't how many relatives we have. It doesn't matter how many cars we own. It doesn't matter how much money we have in our bank account. Sooner or later, we will be vanquished by the material energy in the form of death, the form of death of destruction. That's the way it is here, right? Everything is temporary. That's why we're not really happy here. We know that. So we're always seeking happiness. We're always trying to find a way to shore things up, right? To try and prevent the inevitable. But why play that game, right? Why play that game? Why not just grow into wisdom and grow into spiritual realization and enjoy life in that way, right? Through self-realization. Of course, this does not mean that you cannot get married or that you shouldn't possess anything. That's not what I'm saying, but I'm just pointing out the long game. That's not what's being said here. Okay. So going on, it says here that King Puranjana, because this girl was beautiful and because she was shy, she was shy and she wasn't throwing herself at him, she was attracted to him, right? But she wasn't throwing herself at him. She was reserved. This is actually attractive to a man. This is actually makes a man feel like, oh, this girl is not only does she have some self-respect, and not only can I just, she's not going to come running with the snap of my fingers, she must be trustworthy, right? Because she's not throwing herself at me. If she's not throwing herself at me, then possibly I could marry her and make her my queen, because I won't have to worry about her throwing herself at someone else if I'm away. She'll actually be faithful to me. So another part of this understanding is that when you're in a relationship, any relationship, a domestic partnership, or when you're in a marriage, fidelity, faithfulness is very, very highly prized. I mean, I'm sure you've been in a situation where you were going out with someone, or maybe you were married to someone and they cheated on you, or maybe you cheated on them. And it just creates havoc, doesn't it? It creates a very, very miserable situation and a lot of turmoil. So we don't hear about this, right? Because everyone's all kind of out there today and, bold and all of that. But there is an actual way and there's an actual art to attracting the other person without having to be cheap, right? Just to be blunt. Okay. So then it goes on to say that King Puranjana, the living entity, was appreciating the beauty of the girl as if she were the goddess of fortune. But at the same time, he was careful to understand the goddess of fortune cannot be enjoyed by anyone except Lord Vishnu. Since he doubted whether the girl was the goddess of fortune, he inquired about the lotus flower she was not holding. And then again, the point has already been made that the material world is also the goddess of fortune because the material energy works under the direction of Lord Vishnu, as stated in Bhagavad Gita. So just the way things work so perfectly here, if we don't interfere with it, right? So we can understand that Gaia, we say Mother Earth, right? Mother Earth, because she is, and because she is working under the direction of the Supreme Lord Vishnu, right? Father Sky, Mother Earth. Okay, then the conclusion is the material world cannot be enjoyed by any living entity. If one so desires to enjoy it, he immediately becomes a demon like Ravana, Hiranyakashipu, or Kamsa. Okay, so again, this desire to exploit, right? So depending on the degree that you want to exploit, I guess that's where you are on the scale of being an asura, right? Sura is goodness. Asura is, not goodness, right? Not operating within the mode of goodness or with the transcendental mentality. Okay, then the last sentence here is one can, however, enjoy that Maya or that illusion bestowed upon the living entity by Lord Vishnu. The satisfaction of one's senses and desires means enjoying Maya, not the goddess of fortune. So that may seem contradictory, but there's ways in which to get through life and have a nice life, and also enjoy your senses by spiritualizing them, right? Bowing down to the Lord, hearing, mantras like this, purifying your intelligence, eating nice foodstuffs, nice vegetarian foodstuffs that have been offered to the Lord, prasadam, so your body actually becomes spiritualized and you become free from actually a lot of negativity that way. So while it's nice to be a vegetarian, or while it's nice to be a vegan, even better is to offer those foodstuffs as a sacrifice to Lord Vishnu in love. It's actually a meditative process. When I was living in the ashram, one of my services was actually to cook. So, assembling, these very nice ingredients and spices and things that would come from the farm to make this nice offering. And so I would prepare things like halava, which is a very nice hot sweet. I would prepare toasted nuts every day. This is like the breakfast offering. I would prepare a nice cereal made out of hot oatmeal and buckwheat groats, which gives it a naturally nice flavor. I would prepare, what else would be on that dish? There would actually be a vegetable dish, a sabji. There would be fresh cut fruit on the plate. There would be hot milk from the farm where the cows are never slaughtered. There would be so many things. There would be chapatis, a lot on here. There would be a lot on this thing, but it was my meditation to keep thinking that what I was making, I wasn't making it for my enjoyment, that I was actually putting my heart and love and soul into it as an offering for the Lord's enjoyment, right? So, the Lord is never hungry per se. He doesn't suffer from the pangs of hunger like we do here, right? Where we can actually starve to death and die from not eating. But what he actually appreciates is the love and devotion and the thought and the care in which we put into any offering that he give him. He takes the love. That's what he's actually taking. And then after that was over, I would give that to the pujari, and the pujari would do the offering, do all the different mantras. Then afterwards, we would do the transfer, and then all the foodstuffs would go out to the assembled devotees, to the assembled Vaishnavas. And after a very long morning of chanting and prayers and meditation, then everyone would break bread together and eat very sumptuously and be very, very happy and be purified by that. So this is a beautiful, beautiful lifestyle. This is a beautiful, beautiful culture. It's more than just, doing something one day a week and then forgetting about it the rest of the week. It's something that you can engage your whole mind, body, and soul in. And that's what makes it possible, right? Because we are whole. We are holistic. Okay. There's verse 29, but we are already, I could read this. Let's see. Who is here? Who is here? Let me see who is around. If there's anybody on the YouTube channel. Let me see if anyone has any comments, because I'm actually looking at it. I am looking at it here. Let me see. Okay, I see no questions or comments on the live chat on YouTube. So let me go over to Facebook, see if anyone is over there. Anyone's got anything to say? I see I have a couple of notifications. I see Deanna. Giordano is on here. Hey, girl. Thank you very, very much. Thank you for being on here. I appreciate that. Okay. So let me go back and just read 29 really very quickly, the Sanskrit. The samvaro rav anyatama bhuvi sprik purimimam viravarena sakam arhashyalankartum adabra karmana lokam param shir iva yajna pumsa nasham varoriv anyatama. See, you got to practice these things first. Let me try this again. Nasham varov anyatama bhuvi sprik purimimam viravare na shakam arhasyalan kartum adabra karmana lokam param shir iva yajna pumsa. There's actually different tunes in Sanskrit, and that was not it. Okay. I'm not going to read the word for word. I'm just going to get into the translation. O greatly fortunate one, it appears that you are none of the women I have mentioned, because I see that your feet are touching the ground. But if you are some woman of this planet, you can, like the goddess of fortune, who, accompanied by Lord Vishnu, increases the beauty of the Vaikuntha planets, also increase the beauty of this city by associating with me. You should understand that I am a great hero and a very powerful king on this planet. Okay, what was I saying about the sweet talk? So, a man meets a beautiful woman, a woman that he's interested in too. Right away, he's going to start flattering her, how beautiful she is, and saying, you must be an angel. Did you fall from heaven? All these different things. And then after he has her attention, he's going to say, and, I'm all that, right? You don't have to worry. I'm qualified. I'm qualified to be your husband because I am powerful and I'm a great hero, and I can make sure that you're taken care of, and love you too, Deanna, and make sure that you have our livelihood is secure. So, purport: there is a difference between demoniac mentality and devotional mentality. Devotees know perfectly well that the goddess of fortune, who is the constant companion of Vishnu or Narayan, cannot be enjoyed by a living entity. This higher sense of understanding is called Krishna consciousness. Nonetheless, everyone wants to become happy by imitating the prosperity of Narayan. In this verse, Puranjana states that the girl appears to be an ordinary woman. However, since he is attracted by her, he requests that she become as happy as the goddess of fortune by associating with him. Thus, he introduces himself as a great king with great influence so that she might accept him as her husband and be as happy as the goddess of fortune. To desire this material world as a subordinate of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is godly. The demons, however, want to enjoy this material world without considering the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the difference between a demon and a demigod. So the demons are selfish. They have no gratitude. They have no appreciation where things are coming from, right? A demigod, right, or a devotee understands and is constantly giving thanks and appreciation, not just through lip service, but through their actions, the way they eat, the way they treat others, everything that they are doing. The word bhuvisprik mentioned in this verse is very significant. When the demigods sometimes come to this planet, they do not touch the ground. Puranjana could understand that this girl did not belong to the transcendental world or the higher planetary system because her feet were touching the ground. Since every woman in this world wants her husband to be very influential, rich, and powerful, Puranjana, to seduce the girl, introduced himself as such a personality. In the material world, whether one be a man or a woman, one wants to enjoy. A man wants to enjoy a beautiful woman, and a woman wants to enjoy a powerful, opulent man. Every living entity who possesses such material desires is called Purusha, an enjoyer. Superficially, it appears that the woman is the enjoyed and the man is the enjoyer, but internally, everyone is an enjoyer. Consequently, everything in this material world is called Maya. So there you have it. That's we did text 28 and text 29 today. We'll do text 30 next week. I hope that if you haven't RSVP'd already, Deanna, to the unseen footage, that you go up to the link up there in the Restream chat, and that you click on that. The premiere is going to be the actual anniversary, the day of the release of Yoga on the Dance Floor, which is October 20th. That seemed like the best thing to do And this footage is like literally, it's literally been unseen for 13 years. The only people that have seen it are me and Tom Glide, who was the producer and the composer of Yoga on the Dance Floor. And that's it. I mean, the stuff I've been finding is fantastic. So if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, please do so. And then also you can go to that link and ring the bell so you get the notification. I will be watching it with you on the day. And yeah, you might want to get out your dancing shoes too, because there's going to be a cool little never before, well, actually, yeah, I mean, really never before heard of set, unless you happen to be at this particular party at that particular time, way back in 2008. So thank you very much for being here and tuning in. I really appreciate you. I appreciate your association, Deanna. And also Thursday, October 21st is the first installment of the full show of Yoga on the Dance Floor virtually. Yes, we wish we could be in person and we miss those days, don't we, Deanna? But we do what we can. And then also on Saturday, as per the request of Betsy, there will be another show on the 23rd, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 7 p.m. for my peeps. And also there's going to be some surprises, some giveaways. So watch out for that. If you're on my mailing list, you will get the inside scoop on that right away when that drops. So I will be sending out an announcement 1 hour after the party is over on the 20th of October for the surprise. So watch out for that in your inbox. Have a great week, everyone. Try and stay on an even keel, and I will see you later.